Welterweights are on the way here tonight as well. Significant fights. Amir Khan and Devin Alexander are up next, and Keith one-time Thurman. Thurman seen by many as the future of this division, even one with Mayweather and Pacquiao in it. And the origin of his nickname is obvious.
My power was exceptional from an early age. I did not understand my power until I was about 13, 14 years old, where I physically was knocking out grown men.
Thurman comes out blasting away.
Getting knockouts and creating knockouts, that's what one time is all about. I can get you out at any time, any given moment, any round.
Keith Thurman stops Diego Chavez.
I promised the fans that I'll be bringing them some of the most exciting fights in the welterweight division.
And down goes Soto Caras. Wow, what a punch!
Everybody is in the running for a possible Mayweather fight.
I got mad respect for the man. I just think he's getting old.
I've already been ducked by Maidana. I've been ducked by the Ghost Guerrero.
And everybody in the world of boxing is susceptible to being hit by that one shot.
I'm coming to take you out. I'm coming to take everybody out.
Oh, the left uppercut jacking the jaw of Diaz. Keith one-time Thurman remains unbeaten.
And still the WBA interim welterweight world champion.
I love knockouts, and I'm going to continue giving you knockouts one fight at a time.
Well, there's Keith Thurman. His job to create a mandate for a fight with the big boys. He has to make it so he cannot be ignored by Mayweather, Pacquiao, Bradley, Khan, Alexander, any of the top fighters. Ready now for the co-main event. Let's go back to Mauro Ranallo.
Thank you very much, BK. Having just turned 26 last month, Keith one-time Thurman, well, he is one of the most exciting up-and-comers in the sport, the youngest fighter in the top 10 welterweight rankings. The unbeaten Thurman has made his bones in boxing thanks to his prodigious power, which has produced 21 KOs in his 24 pro bouts. But one time isn't a one-trick pony, Al. He is an honor roll student of the game.
Yeah, he really is. He studies it, and with his trainer, Dan Birmingham, he has continued to be a better fighter every time out. And I think an interesting point to that is, tonight, he said he's been working on his right hand. He's known as a left hook puncher, and he's got great power in that punch. But he said, I'm using the right more, not only as a knockout punch, but to be accurate and score points.
Paulie, he's called everybody out. In fact, he called you out once in a press conference. Why haven't the biggest names in the game signed on the dotted line yet?
Yeah, he called me out when I had the WBA welterweight title. I think at that time he was just looking for a world title shot. You know, he's doing what he's supposed to do. Young fighters are hungry. They want to fight the best. Thurman wants to fight the best. He's been hungry. It's just a lot of times when you're a money fighter and you're a fighter who's done a lot of work to get to the top, you don't want to risk fighting guys below you on the ladder, because a loss to them could knock you down several rungs. So Thurman a lot of times has not represented the correct risk for some of the high-level fighters.
All right, the one man who has answered the call, undefeated 40-year-old Leonard Bundu of Italy. And yes, I say 40, but this man is a well-preserved 40. Made his pro debut at the late age of 30 after a 14-year amateur career that culminated with him representing his adopted country of Italia in the 2000 Olympics. The native of Sierra Leone has been living in Italy full-time since he was 16. He relinquished his European welterweight title in order to realize his dream of competing in the fight capital of the world. But that dream, again, could possibly turn into a nightmare when facing the boogeyman of the welterweight division, Keith one-time Thurman. Let's go to the numbers, Al.
As we look at these numbers for Keith Thurman and Leonard Bundu, you know, the age, of course, is the big issue. He's a 40-year-old Leonard Bundu, but do not be too deceived by this. He is an undefeated 40-year-old, and he is as athletic and energetic a 40-year-old as you're ever going to see in the sport, and got a late start in boxing, so he is not worn down. So he could give Keith Thurman a pretty good fight here tonight.
All right, let's go back to the center of the ring for the official introductions. Here's Hall of Famer Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Well, fans, from the MGM Grand here in Las Vegas, we present our next special attraction brought to you by Oscar de la Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions and Showtime. Sponsored by Corona La Cerveza, Más Fina, AT&T, Mexico, and Casa Noble Tequila. This bout is presented in conjunction with DeBella Entertainment and is sanctioned by the WBA, the President Gilberto Mendoza, Supervisor Matthew Podgorski. Introducing our three judges, all from Las Vegas, Nevada. Adelaide Bird, Patricia Morse-Jarman, and Ricardo Ocasio. Our referee in charge of this bout, our third man to the ring, is Vic Draculich. All right, fans, here we go. 12 rounds of boxing for the interim WBA Welterweight World Championship. Introducing to you first on my right, fighting out of the red corner, wearing white trunks with red and green trim, fighting out of Florence in Italy by way of Sierra Leone. He weighed in at 146 1/2 pounds. He is undefeated in his campaign in the ring with a record of 31 wins, no losses, and 2 draws, with 11 wins coming by way of knockout. Currently ranked the number 4 WBA welterweight world contender. Please welcome the longtime and undefeated European champion, Leonard the Lion Bundu. And his opponent across the ring on my left, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white trunks with blue trim, fighting out of Clearwater, Florida. He weighed in at a ready 146 pounds. He also is undefeated. His record stands at 23 wins, no losses, 1 no decision, with 21 big wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of the young stars of boxing today, the hard-hitting interim WBA welterweight world champion, the undefeated Keith One-Time Thurman. And once again, our referee in charge of the action, now to give instructions, Vic Draculich.
On the ring. All right, gentlemen, this is for the WBA interim welterweight title. It's scheduled for 12 rounds. You've received your instructions in the dressing room. Again, I want to caution you. Any punch below this point is going to be called low. Any punch below this point is going to be called low. With that said, I want you to obey my commands, protect yourselves at all times. Touch them up now. Good luck to both of you.
Okay. Unless it's a draw when all is said and done, one of these undefeated fighters, 0, will morph into a 1 as we get set for action in the welterweight division. Keith Thurman, known as One Time because he says all it takes is one punch from either hand to turn the lights out. Leonard Bundu has yet to taste defeat, but he is in tough tonight. The bell and the opening round. We are scheduled for 12.
Leonard Bundu likes to switch from righty to lefty, and even though Keith Thurman has not fought many lefties in the last 15 fights, only one, he has sparred with the ultimate lefty, a stablemate of his, Winky Wright, who of course was also trained by Dan Birmingham during his great career.
Thurman started sparring with Winky Wright when he was just 15 years of age.
That's an education.
You know, Bundu is not your typical, a lot of times we stereotype these European fighters that just come here for a payday. He's got a little craftiness to him. He's a former 2000 U.S. Italian Olympian in the year 2000. Switches, as you said, out, and he's got a lot of craftiness, a bit of awkwardness to his style. So let's see how Thurman adjusts if Thurman has switched.
Oh, and Thurman already drops him with that left.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Bundu going down for the second time in his career, the second time since 2007, as he already tastes the power of Thurman.
And I don't think anybody expected Thurman to turn southpaw.
Showing again the new wrinkles. He's always a very deep thinker.
Yeah, that knockdown, I think it came from the southpaw position from Thurman.
Yeah, I don't know if he consciously did it, but it did come there. And there's the right hand that he's trying to perfect a bit.
It was his late trainer, Ben Getty, who imposed upon him the strategy to always let them know what they're dealing with from the outset. Show off the power immediately. He did.
We know the left is great, and of course that's what landed there a moment ago. And Keith Thurman, actually, you can feel it. Instead of running after Bundu to try and get him out, he's actually staying back saying, all right, I'm going to try and put on a little bit of a clinic here.
He describes himself as a boxer puncher, does Thurman. Believes he has great footwork. Some people don't know, he says, because they only see how I knock people out or how he gets into brawls here and there. He's not afraid to fight.
Look at Thurman's eyes, so focused. Look how wide he's at. They're so focused. Look how wide he opens his eyes in that stance when he's in there.
Thurman says he's a big counterpuncher. He thinks the counterpunch, one of the most devastating punches in the sport.
And there we see Thurman switching to lefty. What Paulie saw was not a mirage. He did switch lefty when he landed that left hook.
He's saying to Bundu, hey, if you want to switch, I'm going to do the same thing. I can beat you at your own game.
And that's one thing I don't even think Bundu expected, because I don't think we expected it. You know, we knew Bundu was a switch hitter, but so far, Keith has shown them that to be just as much. He can do it just as much.
30 seconds left in the opening round, a round in which Thurman has already recorded a knockdown.
If there's anything Bundu can take from this round is he's been knocked down, but he's got Thurman backing up. Thurman, of course, never shy from throwing the power, even from the back foot.
15 seconds left in the round as Thurman scored with the body attack, flashing the jab. Back to an orthodox position, stance, and there's a right hand over top of Bundu's left. A great round for Thurman.
Stay right there.
Well, the trip from Italy started out badly as Keith Thurman switches to lefty and lands a beautiful left hand, not from the normal left hook position that he does as a righty, but instead as a lefty. And so the moment he switches, he lands a major power punch. That almost never happens, because normally when you switch, you don't land a power punch right off the bat, or sometimes never. And we like one last look at it to see Bundu jumping in and Thurman using a very quick left hand to knock him down. That was impressive by Keith Thurman.
The bell in round number 2 here at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. Thurman quickly establishes the jab, goes over the top with the right hand. He has stopped 11 of his last 12 opponents, 8 in 4 rounds or less.
In the last round, according to show stats, Bundu, who only landed 2 punches, only threw 2 power punches of the 14 punches he tried. So somewhere he's going to have to find some way to do some good offensively while not putting himself in harm's way.
Yeah, they were trying to tell Bundu in the corner to stay in that rhythm, but keep your guard up. And he's trying to stay in that little awkward rhythm that he has. And Thurman's trying to go to the body of that high guard of Bundu.
Attacking the body with authority with the left hook. He sports the white with blue trunks. Bundu in the white with black, and of course the Italian flag on the trim. And again, the right hand followed by the left from Thurman. Just teeing off on Bundu. But again, a measured pace, Al.
Very much so. And you know, if all Keith Thurman could do was land big left hooks, he'd still be a terrific fighter. He does so much more.
Man, stabbed him right in the midsection with that stiff right hand.
Yeah, and he's adjusting quickly. When Bundu gives him the high guard, he goes right to the body. When Bundu lowers the guard, he goes to the head. He's seeing a lot.
You know, we're not suggesting that Bundu is one of the top 8 or 9, 10 welterweights in the world, but he's not a bad fighter. He's won a couple of fights in England, including a win over Frankie Gavin in his last fight. And in those fights, he was active and he was a good fighter. Tonight, can't do it against Thurman.
Yeah, Gavin, the first British fighter to win a world amateur title, was upset by Bundu. But now Bundu, Thurman able to withstand the initial spurt from Bundu. 1:15 left in the second round. And again, just over the top. Accurate right hand from Thurman.
Bundu trying to find the distance, trying to find the proper distance with some rhythm, but he seems a bit confused. He's going to have to start countering Thurman. He's not making Thurman pay for anything he's throwing. I think, see, whenever Thurman throws, he's got Bundu completely on the defensive. You got to give Thurman something to think about. Something might be coming back when you throw that kind of power. And Bundu has been tentative to throw those counters, possibly due to having felt the power.
Thurman very accurate in this fight again. Said he's been working on his accuracy in camp. He told us the easiest way to pressure an opponent when you can sense he wants to take a break is to utilize the jab. And he's been on top of Bundu, but Bundu now in that pocket eating a couple of Thurman jabs. Now Thurman utilizing that lateral footwork. Avoids that left hook. 10 seconds left in the second stanza. So good stuff from Thurman through 6 minutes of action. Let's go to Jim Gray.
All right, Mo, thank you very much. Here with Marcos Maidana. Felix De Jesus will translate. Marcos, you fought against both Alexander and Khan, having lost a decision to each of them. How do you see tonight's fight?
Tú peleaste frente a los dos, Alexander y Khan, de decisión. ¿Con quién tú crees que va a ganar esta pelea?
Para mí gana Khan. Yo peleé con los dos y Khan se me hizo más difícil, más rápido. Y Devon Alexander no pega. Yo creo que le va a ganar Khan.
I definitely think Khan's going to win. He's faster, and I think he punches harder than Alexander. I don't think Alexander punches hard at all.
Marcos, what is your assessment of Keith Thurman? It's being said that should he win this evening, you would be next to fight him.
De lo que he visto de Thurman hoy, dime qué clase de peleador es y tal vez tú lo puedes pelear después con él.
Sí, no, veo que es un boxeador fuerte, rápido, pero que no está peleando con ningún boxeador que le pueda hacer pelea. Estaba sin quitarle mérito al rival, es un rival que no está para...
Yeah, I know that he's fast and he has a lot of strength and everything, but he's really not fighting somebody that can fight with him right now. So it's a weak fighter that he's fighting right now.
All right. Thank you, Marcos. We appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you back on Showtime soon. Mo?
Thanks a lot, Jim. And the next time he is on Showtime, you never know. Thurman has mentioned Marcos Maidana as a potential future opponent. Of course, he needs to get past 40-year-old Leonard Bundu, who is definitely behind her, though Bundu lands a nice left hand. And now Thurman beginning to showboat a bit. And we've seen Thurman get hurt in the past from Jesus Soto Caras and Diego Chavez.
I don't think he was hurt. I think he was just aggravated that the hook landed. Bundu landed a nice left hook. You see a little bit of a mark by the eye of Thurman. I don't think he was hurt at all, but I think he was frustrated that he got hit.
I believe Bundu does better from the right-handed stance against Thurman. Not against everybody, but in this fight, I think staying as a righty more often would be a better idea.
Yeah, and he got dropped out of the southpaw stance too, right? So that alone will tell you.
And Bundu, by the way, is a very good body puncher. We haven't seen much of that tonight. He dropped Frankie Gavin with body punches, so he might want to try to go downstairs a bit against Thurman.
Thurman back to a southpaw stance.
To get to the body, you got to go in the wheelhouse of that power Thurman has. As Thurman goes to lefty here.
There's Bundu's feints that he's known for, those stutter steps. He feints a lot, tries to disrupt the rhythm. Now going back to an orthodox stance midway through round 3.
And that's the thing about feinting, though. You got to land punches for the feints to be effective.
And it's Thurman who's landing the punches.
Yeah, Bundu landed that nice hook at the beginning of the round, but unless he can land a bit consistently, Thurman's not going to really bite on those feints. He's got to have something to feel coming his way first. If you start to connect punches, even if you're not hurting him, if Thurman sees you can hit him, you may get him to bite on some feints.
A minute remaining in the third. Thurman measuring, comes in with a lead left uppercut. Now Thurman doing a better job keeping Bundu at bay with the jab.
Bundu has only thrown 11 punches so far in this round for 57 now for Thurman. So he's got to find a way to be more active, even though it's very difficult.
Again, comes in with the left hook, misses. Body shot from Thurman goes over the top with the right hand. 10 seconds left in the round. Nice left hook to the body, followed by the right hand upstairs by Thurman. We are through 3 here at MGM Grand. And of course, fight night at the MGM Grand Garden Arena brings out boxing luminaries, including former middleweight champion, relinquished the title, Peter Kid Chocolate Quillen, undefeated at 31-0, 22 wins inside the distance. Former junior middleweight world title challenger El Perro Alfredo Angulo always attends the big fights, has been in a few big fights of his own. We've seen him a few times already. Abner Mares has Leo Santa Cruz in his sights, the WBC super bantamweight world champion. There's the former welterweight champion Sean Porter looking to get back into the hunt, and I'm sure he'll be watching the main event with vested interest. Jesus Soto Caras, who has been in the ring with Keith one-time Thurman. Two-division world champion Zab Judah was stopped by Amir Khan. He's in the house. And Marcos Maidana, who we heard from earlier in this fight, a man who went toe-to-toe with Mayweather on 2 different occasions this year. Still a force. And a guy that I know Keith Thurman would love to face one day in the ring. But again, Keith Thurman has called out everyone in the welterweight division.
That would be an entertaining fight, though. Not to play matchmaker, but that would be good.
We are underway with round 4. Again, the feinting Bundu, switching stances, but not throwing a lot of leather.
Very important that we know Keith Thurman was off because of an injury to his left shoulder. It ended up being tendonitis. They didn't operate. He needed rest and physical therapy. No signs that he's having a hard time throwing that left hand.
He's been very generous with that hook.
And the one reason he's only fought once previously this year, stopping former lightweight champion Julio Diaz. Noted that there was trouble with the shoulder, and yes, it was ruled as tendonitis, no surgery. Very well aware of his body, the way he makes his money. A man, he just breaks down the sport so well as Bundu lands a touching left.
The power punches give us a pretty good indication of how this fight is going, with Thurman landing at 55% and Bundu getting so few punches. And other than that one big left hook, not too many.
Stiff left hook to the body by Thurman.
You know what's interesting? Bundu was down very early in this fight in round 1, and yet Keith Thurman has boxed really most of this fight, even though he's landed big punches. So it's interesting that Thurman is not really going after a knockout after hurting Bundu early.
Well, it's the kind of a weird rhythm Bundu has. You don't want to get too carried away. Also, Bundu, a lot of his fights has a lot of head clashes because of that weird rhythm he's got. So I think Thurman is playing it safe, watching for the head clashes and picking his spots to throw those combinations. Bundu, though, having trouble cutting distance. He's given a lot of that head movement, but he's not really using the jab. There he uses it, and he does cut distance. But behind that head movement, there should be a bit more of a busy jab from Leonard Bundu.
Under a minute remaining in the 4th round. Thurman delivers the right hand through Bundu's guard. Bundu, for the most part, keeping his gloves in his pocket. There's a high guard, but again gets tagged. Thurman very patient, utilizing the footwork, moving around the ring, feinting, bobbing, just staring deep into the soul of Leonard Bundu. You know, fans getting a little restless, though. They'd like to see more, as they have been spoiled by the output of Keith Thurman in his career.
Well, we've seen movement from Keith Thurman before, but not like this. But here he comes after Bundu.
A flurry from Bundu. 15 seconds. Bundu again, Paulie, as you mentioned, and we will get more from you as we go into round 5, but a very tricky fighter because of the way he switches stances, the feinting. Very unorthodox is Leonard Bundu.
Yeah, if you rush anything, you're going to end up getting hit yourself. So Thurman just playing it smart, picking his spots.
Amir Khan getting set to headline for the first time here at MGM Grand Garden Arena, coming off an impressive debut at 147 pounds. A fight that was supposed to take place last December with the welterweight championship on the line will take place tonight, and he will face the former welterweight champion, Devin Alexander, who, believe it or not, it has been up to this point that he's not fought in the fight capital of the world, but he makes his Las Vegas debut tonight, and he does so with a heavy heart. Lots going on in his native St. Louis, and we'll talk more about that later tonight. It's Khan versus Alexander, a very pivotal welterweight matchup. Round 5, scheduled for 12 here in the welterweight division. Undefeated Keith one-time Thurman, undefeated Leonard Bundu, fighting for the first time outside of his native Europe. relinquishing the European welterweight championship in order to realize one of his dreams of fighting here in Las Vegas and facing the biggest test of his career against the younger, faster Keith Thurman.
You see Bundu look for that counter left hand over the top of Thurman's jab, but again, Bundu has to be just a little busier, maybe not look for all the power shots, just keep Thurman busy a little bit, even with a jab. A bit of a confusing rhythm, so Thurman not getting greedy with his offense, but he picks his spots nicely.
By the way, it is the birthday of Dan Birmingham the other day, the trainer of Keith Thurman, former trainer of Winky Wright, and a trainer of the year before this, and he is sculpting Thurman into something very special.
Is this an illustration of Thurman, maybe because of the fact he's just coming back from the therapy to his shoulder, that he wants to not be as aggressive, Paulie, work the shoulder, get some rounds in, or what do you attribute the performance thus far? Is it Bundu?
I don't agree with it at all. I think it's Bundu who is just not that easy of a target. Keith is actually trying to be smart. He's probably seen the videos. He's seen how awkward he is. Again, this rhythm, and again, a lot of Bundu's fights have ended, or a lot of accidental head clashes have happened in his fights. So, again, you don't want to rush in. Bundu's waiting for you to make a mistake. He's waiting for you to rush in. He's very patient. He's actually probably too patient. But you see, if you rush in and throw a punch you shouldn't throw, he's ready to counter you.
Now Bundu goes upstairs with the right hand. Thurman digging to the body with the left hook.
So Thurman picking his spots and trying to vary his offense enough to where Bundu can't get the timing down.
Thurman has thrown the left hook to the head and to the body, but has not yet doubled with that punch. And I think the minute he does that, he's going to put himself in a position to either hurt Bundu or knock him out.
And remember, lots of hype, a lot of potential for Keith Thurman, undefeated, but hasn't faced the elite of the division yet. And not to say that Bundu is the elite, but Paulie, as you mentioned, a man who has done very well for himself in accruing an undefeated record, a fresh 40-year-old, a former Olympian in Italy, coming off, Al, you alluded to, back-to-back wins over two British fighters in Lee Purdy and Frankie Gavin. So definitely not coming here to just show up and be a sacrificial lamb for Thurman.
Yeah, he's a live body. He's a live body, and he's walking Thurman down. You see how he's ready to punch when Thurman punches? Thurman's getting the timing just right to where he's not getting countered. But Bundu is very reactive, so it's not as easy of a fight as you might think.
There's a counter left hook by Bundu as we head to round 6.
But you got to credit Thurman for that. You see, he realizes that, and he's picking his spots carefully and intelligently. He's asking him if he's hitting hard. So just relax, stay in that rhythm. You're gonna get to him.
Give him your power. Yeah. Give him your power. Keep fainting. You got him looking for your punches. That's what we want. Keep his hand on.
So as we get set for round 6, the instructions from Dan Birmingham: keep feinting. You have him looking for your punches. That's what you want. As round 6 gets underway here at MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, immediately Thurman comes out throwing the jab.
Bundu has been 12 rounds 5 times and won all 5. Thurman has only been 12 rounds twice, but he has performed well in those cases. And won, of course.
Thurman told his advisor Al Heyman that he didn't want anyone with 5, 6, 7 losses on his return. He wanted an undefeated fighter, and they went out and found Leonard Bundu. And here we are in round 6, and the undefeated Italian still standing right there in front of one-time Keith Thurman.
Thurman made the point to us, and it was true in scouting Bundu. When Bundu throws a good jab, then he puts himself in position to throw combinations. Bundu hasn't been using his jab much in this fight, and he really hasn't put himself in a position where he can throw combinations, and that's been a big factor.
And it's almost like he wants to counter punch, and he's waiting for Thurman, but then a lot of times he doesn't get the proper counter off, or when he does, Thurman is realizing it, and he's not getting greedy with his combinations.
Nice combination from Thurman, who switches back to an orthodox stance, and we thought it was going to be Bundu that was going to be switching back and forth, but Thurman also playing that game here tonight. Midway point of round 6 as we look at show stats. Punches landed when it comes to the body, and it's a big edge for Thurman.
And we mentioned that Bundu, who scored that knockdown against Gavin with a body shot, has a good body punch, but hasn't used it much, or hasn't landed it for sure.
Thurman has played that range game, and you know, from that distance, it's hard to get to Thurman's body.
A minute left in round number 6.
See the feints of Keith Thurman. That's what Dan Birmingham was asking him to do, and they think that will set up Bundu for a big shot.
A lot of feinting on both sides, but just Thurman's been busier.
Crowd getting restless again when you talk about KOs for life, as Thurman does, and the fact that he's recorded 21 of his 23 wins inside the distance. They expect it, but Leonard Bundu, a very unorthodox style, something that Thurman has not seen before, Paulie.
Yeah, and you know, it's a good fight for him, though. You know, he's able to think his way through it. A lot of opponents are not that easy to look good against, but Thurman's not making any mistakes. He's fighting intelligently, albeit not always exciting.
Overhand right by Bundu on the counter. The second half of this fight coming up. Coming up next week, we will head north of the border to the Great White North, my home country of Canada, where we are set for another night of Showtime boxing.
Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs.
When I'm going to ring, I'm looking for knockout.
The Man of Steel, Superman.
2013 Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year, Superman.
One of the most exciting fighters in the sport.
He's going to be one of the big superstars in boxing.
Excited to go up to Canada and see Adonis Stevenson, one of the big hitters in the light heavyweight division, and he has injected a lot of excitement in that division.
Yeah, and it's always exciting. A big puncher, but a little bit of a questionable chin at times.
So we begin the second half of this 12-round affair in the welterweight division. Undefeated fighters Keith Thurman in the white with blue trunks against Leonard Bundu of Italy. The white with black and the Italian colors around the trim. And Bundu going back and forth again from orthodox to southpaw. Needs to get busier, Al.
Well, he has thrown so few punches in this fight, and that's been an issue.
Yeah, he just can't find his range. You know, he's taking these little steps, but he's not trying to cut range with that jab a lot of times. And, you know, it's going to be difficult to close the range on Thurman, who's using his legs very well.
All right, let's bring in our unofficial scorer, Steve Farhood. Steve, how have you seen it through 6 rounds?
Well, it's a shutout. There's only one guy punching in there. If feints were punches, Bundu would be setting all kind of records tonight, but they're not. And he's averaging 9 power punches around. It's hard to win a fight like that.
Chopping right hand from Bundu.
And here's the big problem with the strategy employed by Bundu to try and counterpunch. He's only got 11 KOs in 31 fights, so it's unlikely he's going to knock Keith Thurman out. He could, but it's unlikely.
Anything that Thurman needs to do? What adjustments would you make in the second half of the fight after what you've seen so far in the first 6 rounds, Paulie?
I don't think he has to make adjustments. I mean, some guys you're just not going to get the KO. Some guys you just, you know, they're going to force you to go these rounds. Bundu is very awkward. If you try to force any kind of work, you might run into a headbutt. You might run into a weird punch. I mean, if you're winning every second of the fight, as Steve has it, there's no need to change right now.
The fight that this is similar to is when he fought Jan Zavik, also a European fighter, who made Keith Thurman go the distance. And in a way, this is similar to it. He controlled that fight, but he went the distance.
In a lot of ways, though, Bundu doesn't seem like he's... I felt like Zavik that time was resigned to just trying to go the distance. Seems like Bundu's trying to win, but he just can't cut the distance. He's coming forward. He just can't find the distance, and he's got to use that jab, Al. He's just not using the jab to cut the distance. Look, he's right there.
He's not Willie Pep. You got to throw punches to win a round, right?
Yeah, he's coming forward.
Even Willie Pep should have had to throw a punch to win that round. Sorry.
I agree, Al. I think that's just a myth. I don't think anybody can win a round not throwing a punch.
Maybe it happened, though. We don't know.
Controversial judges.
Here's a look at a special documentary coming up on Showtime next year.
This isn't a film. I want to say something. I have things I want to think about, things I want to dive into and get off my chest. I don't have the patience to sit and write a book, so I'll do it this way. And what I found through the process is that it became more than a documentary. It became therapy on film.
That's a unique looking documentary. That I can tell you right now, watching that promo, I want to see it.
Fans here at MGM Grand Garden Arena not exactly enthralled by what they are seeing thus far, but again, Keith Thurman, who's been talking the talk, and we know about his power, but against Leonard Bundu, a very unorthodox fighter, guy who switches back and forth, feints a lot, and really, for Thurman, he's faced only one lefty in his past 15 fights, Carlos Quintana, whom he KO'd in 4 rounds in 2012.
Bundu now getting much more active.
And you see, when he does cut the range, he does throw. So it's just a matter of his problem is he can't cut the range. When he does get close, Bundu has no problem throwing punches. So he's trying to engage. He just, and there it is again, right there, off the jab out.
Yes, exactly, for the first time.
Now Steve Farhood has Keith Thurman winning all 7 rounds on his unofficial scorecard. Thurman and Bundu here in round 8. Bundu has shown some flurries early in the round, but expending a lot of energy, feinting and switching stances, needs to try to navigate the distance, close the real estate.
Slight subtle change in this fight. Just a moment ago, we saw a left hook of Thurman countered by a right by Bundu. Bundu just missed the punch, but a different kind of energy by Bundu in this round.
Yeah, and he's very reactive. It's just, you know, Thurman has not engaged him as much as people want to see, but it's because Thurman realizes this is a very reactive guy. I got to pick my spots to engage him so I win the rounds.
I would suggest this.
Nice combination.
I'm sorry, Mark. Keith Thurman missed an opportunity. I still believe he had him hurt early in this fight, made a conscious decision, I believe, to try and box and do work on things. And sometimes, how many times have you been in an athletic contest, you in a fight, us and other things, where you let the moment pass, and all of a sudden you can't get back and do the things you want to do? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it feels that way.
You might be right, Al. You know,
I don't know.
Fights like this are part of the learning experience, they're part of the learning curve. You know, it's possible. You know, Bundu did get up with plenty of energy after that knockdown. We don't know how hard he was, but of course, we will never know because Thurman didn't go for the knockout.
Exactly. Let's not forget, Thurman is 25 years old, the youngest fighter, or 26 now.
I know, because you got the same birthday as me.
Yeah, you're right. My notes here. Thank you. November 23rd. Happy belated birthday to you, my friend.
Thanks.
And so, being the youngest in the top 10 of the welterweight division, still needs to learn, and this is experience. He's
pretty good hook to the body by Bundu a second ago.
There's an overhead right by Thurman.
A lot more engaging, a more exciting round this round. Oh. Both guys letting him go now.
Well, when Keith Thurman gets those power punches off, here is an instance in the last round, which was the closest round in the fight by far, but Thurman lands a jab and a straight right hand, and that pushes Bundu back. He told us he wanted to work on the right hand as a scoring punch and as something that would be powerful, and there is a good example of doing it. And we don't see that out of Thurman a lot. We see more left hooks in terms of power. And then later on in the round, it was a wider right hand that appeared to make an impact on Bundu. And he wanted to land the left hook right there, just couldn't get it off quick enough to land it.
If you look at that, Bundu was trying to catch and shoot, but the force of the shot moved Bundu's entire body over.
Round number 9 underway, and Keith Thurman coming off the second longest layoff of his career, 231 days following shoulder therapy.
Keith Thurman, while that round was a close one for a while, toward the end he landed a number of punches, and 13 landed for him according to show stats, only 7 for Bundu. By the way, Bundu threw 36 punches in that round. That tied is high for punches thrown in this fight, so that's an indication he's not been super active.
He's cutting the ring off for him here as well. But again, he's got to find that one. You got to cut the ring off. You got to find that one punch that's going to close the range now, and he's still not using that jab.
One of the things Keith Thurman isn't doing is really setting down on his punches. Because there's been so much movement, when he lands some of these power punches, they're not with the same impact that we're accustomed to seeing.
Now Thurman with the footwork, the lateral movement.
Bundu cutting off the ring more aggressively, but again, he's got to get those hands off.
And Thurman is doing counter-punching as he moves, so it's not as if he's just moving and not punching.
Yeah, now Thurman using the jab from the southpaw stance, but there's the jab by Bundu that scores.
One thing Thurman has that a lot of people talk about, he's an underrated pot shotter.
Yeah.
You know him for his power, but a lot of times Thurman can pot shot at you with some good speed.
This is much more movement. While we've seen Keith Thurman be a good boxer in a number of fights and show us some movement, we have never seen this much movement from Thurman. I don't think it's ever happened in his whole career.
Bundu still has that confident body language, but again, he's got to close that range.
Coming up on the final 60 seconds of the 9th round. Thurman using that footwork. Now 3-punch combination, but a lot of it blocked.
There is, you know, a little redness under the right eye of Thurman, where he's been hit with some punches.
That was that left hook.
Yeah,
from early in the fight.
Final 30 seconds of the round.
Yeah, watch Bundu. When Thurman throws, Bundu's trying to throw with him. He's trying to time him, but he's just coming up a little short. And that's Thurman's intelligence. He's not biting off more than he can chew in these combinations. People might call it boring, but you know, if you stay in the pocket too long, you're going to be there for the return that Bundu's waiting for. So he's not biting off more than he can chew. He's hitting and going, hitting and going.
Bundu, 16 years the elder of Keith Thurman. And we are going to round number 10. And still to come tonight, a pivotal matchup in the welterweight division. 2 top 10 ranked fighters, Devin Alexander getting set to face off with Amir Khan in tonight's main event. Of course, he has not only the Alexander Khan fight, but back in Missouri in his native area. There's a look at the crowd at his trainer, Kevin Cunningham's Knockouts Bar and Grill, where tonight they will be watching their favorite son, Devin Alexander, face off with Amir Khan, looking for a moment of positivity, looking for a positive result in an area that really needs it in light of what has transpired recently with the civic unrest and the crowd getting ready for the main event. And back here at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Mauro Ranallo along with Al Bernstein, Paulie Malignaggi, Brian Kenny, Jim Gray, and the entire Showtime Sports crew. And we are set for round number 10 between Keith Thurman and Leonard Bundu, a couple of undefeated welterweights.
The interesting thing is, even though Thurman has shown us a very different look, he has thrown 508 punches in this fight. That's not a monstrous amount, but it's not a small amount for 10 rounds. And so he has been active, but he just hasn't set down on his punches since that first round to land power punches. And as that unofficial scorecard from Steve Forward indicates, he's controlled virtually every round.
A flurry to the body by Bundu, but it's really shoe-shine shots. They'll score, but not a lot of power.
With 8-ounce gloves, they're not soft either.
True.
True.
A minute gone in the 10th.
And you know, some might suggest that a fight in which Keith Thurman doesn't look as good as he has in other fights could be a blessing in disguise. Somebody may want to fight him.
Very good point, Al.
He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been a devastating puncher.
Less than a minute and a half remaining in the 10th. Bundu scores with the jab.
I'll tell you, when he does throw it, it seems to land. I don't think Thurman's ever expecting it.
Left hook behind the glove by Thurman.
So few and far between the jabs thrown by Leonard Bundu.
There's a lead left hook. Eclipse Bundu. Minute remaining in the round. Thurman back to southpaw stance. There, Bundu scores again with straight left. Thurman trying to corner Bundu, but it's Bundu throwing punches.
Again, he's just reactive, so Keith can't get too greedy. Throws his 2 or 3, and he has to step back out of range.
There's a right hand that connects for Thurman. So we are through 10 rounds here, MGM Grand Garden Arena. Couple of undefeated welterweights going at it. Speaking of welterweights, and Al, to your point, Keith Thurman talked about wanting to face this guy, Marcos Maidana. You might want to take that after what he's saying right now.
He might say, I could put pressure on better than Leonard Bundu. There was in the last round something that Paulie has been foreshadowing, and that is that in Leonard Bundu's fights, many times there are clashes of heads. And there's where Thurman comes in, and the heads do clash. But it's the way Thurman came in, too. He lunged in.
Yeah, he lunged in, and a lot of times that's frustration because you want to land that power. But you see, Bundu doesn't give you a lot of ground. He's ready to catch and shoot, or he's ready to do those little counters. And that's what I mean about Thurman not biting off more than he can chew. Bundu holding his ground. If you jump in, you may clash heads.
Let's go.
Well, this was not the fight you might have expected to go the distance, what with Thurman's power and especially after the first round knockdown. But here we are, the beginning of round number 11.
Well, we did know coming in, and we said it, that Leonard Bundu didn't come here to just lay down. He's a very resilient, tough fighter, and he has shown that, even though he has not done a great job offensively and has not been able to really mount a good offense. And you're right, though, Mauro. You wouldn't have expected this to be the one that was, of everything, more tepid in terms of action.
I just think Bundu's problem is he's not as good as Thurman. The problem here with his game planning in the fight is his ability to cut that distance. I don't think he realized how good of a boxer Thurman can be.
Right.
I think he felt that if he was going to put pressure on the big puncher, it would almost throw Thurman off because nobody comes to Thurman this way.
Yeah.
But I don't think he realized Thurman knows how to box very well.
This is kind of like Thurman's Tommy Hearns moment in the Ray Leonard fight when he boxed so effectively in a fight that people didn't think he was going to be able to do.
And our unofficial scorer, Steve Fard, actually gave Bundu the last round, so breaking the shutout streak for Keith Thurman.
And I'm not suggesting this fight is on the level of Leonard and Hearns.
But Al, you make a good point because Hearns had underrated boxing ability. I think a lot of times with the punching power, people talk about Thurman. They don't realize that Thurman also has underrated boxing ability. So the point is well said.
Now Bundu going on the attack, but Thurman using the footwork to circle away from the ropes, but definitely more active in terms of his movement in this fight.
And let me tell you, this is not the last time Thurman may have to use this boxing ability to win a fight. You know, he's going to be in very big fights during the course of his career. And sometimes you need to box, and sometimes you need to punch. So it's good that we know he has this in his arsenal as well.
A minute remaining in the 11th, and Bundu from the southpaw stance continues to walk down Thurman, but Thurman changes levels, throws a shot to the body, and clinches momentarily.
Bundu came forward the whole way, though. He tried, he just couldn't find his range.
As the high guard flashes the jab that misses. But yeah, Thurman just constantly on the move.
One thing we have not seen from Thurman a lot, and I don't know if it's because the shoulder is bothering him, is we haven't seen many left hooks. And even when he switched to lefty because then the left is a straight left. He's thrown a lot of jabs. He's not thrown many hooks. So
Bring up a good point. Coming off the shoulder therapy, that may be one of the reasons he has utilized the southpaw stance.
I'm curious to hear him talk to Jim Gray and hear him say whether that's the case.
A lot of them were checks. You didn't put a lot of weight on them.
Be smart. You got one more round, you're pitching a shutout. You're looking great. You're showing them your skills this fight. Very durable guy you're fighting in there. Very durable old man in there. Breathe. That's it. Relax. You got 3 minutes, man. 3 minutes. One round. You're looking great.
Final round. Touch him up more and good job.
Be alive. Give me water. You got to work like it's 5 rounds. Throw those punches. We need you to move your hands. Throw those punches. It's all you.
So heading into the 12th and final round, Dan Birmingham. Thurman's trainer may have put it best. You're facing a durable old guy in there and showing that you can box. And
Bundu's corner's letting him know there's nothing to say before now. To go. They told him they need 5 rounds worth of work and compacted into 1 round. Yeah, in Bundu's corner.
Well, Bundu's only thrown, coming into this round, he's only thrown 287 punches according to show stats. Thurman 614, so the work rate, of course, is a huge difference. Mentioned that Bundu has won 5 fights over the 12-round limit. Thurman has been that distance and won twice.
Bundu with all his head movement, he doesn't throw punches, but he's always on good balance. You know, despite for a guy who switches a lot of times guys who switch a lot, you know, their feet might be all over the place. One thing you got to credit Leonard for, he's always got very good balance. Yeah. So he always presents himself as a good target for Thurman to hit, but at the same time, not an easy guy to shift.
Well, one of the keys I'd written for this fight was don't get caught switching by Bundu, and he really hasn't, even though, you know, he's been out-punched.
Both fighters have been down once in their respective careers, both undefeated coming into this fight. Thurman coming off the second longest layoff of his career following shoulder therapy. Bundu fighting for the first time out of his native Europe. The crowd may be anticipating more of a electrifying performance from Thurman, but Paulie, you put it best as well, showcasing his other skills, and he's utilizing that footwork, not engaging. And now Bundu going to work, and they cheer any activity right now. Fans want to see action.
This is intriguing because I'm sure Keith Thurman has never heard this before. Great body shot by Bundu. We mentioned he scored knockdowns to the body. He can punch to the body. This is not a sound from a crowd that Keith Thurman has ever heard. At least not directed at him.
Less than 45 seconds into the fight, Bundu went down after Thurman threw a left.
And make no mistake, Keith Thurman has shown skills in this fight. Dan Merriam's correct, and he's won virtually every round.
And I will correct myself because Bundu has been down in this fight, meaning that he's been down twice now in his career. 20 seconds remaining in the bout. Now Thurman coming forward, but he gets countered by Bundu with the hands down.
Again, that's the thing, like I mentioned earlier. You can't bite off more than you can chew with Bundu. He's ready to throw back.
We go the distance.
Okay, this was a while ago, but in round one, we saw something that made us think we were going to see a very different kind of fight. Keith Thurman, right from the get-go, surprises Bundu by switching to the left-handed stance. Lands an excellent counter left hand that knocks Bundu down. And look, he's even wobbling a little bit when he gets up. So clearly, it had some impact. Shaking his head yes, almost to say, yeah,
acknowledging. Yeah.
Yeah, and then another look at it shows how this straight left hand was able to land by Thurman.
It's almost a hook, right? He
Yeah.
it's changed the angle.
And for Leonard Bundu, early on in this fight, the power affected him. But he would not be affected dramatically by that power the rest of the way. And likely, this man, Keith Thurman, is probably going to get a decision win, but we'll see if he's happy with it. And those numbers would support the idea of the fact that he would win this fight and never double digits for Bundu in this fight. The overall punch numbers indicating to us what we talked about in terms of activity and accuracy. While 29% for Keith Thurman is pretty low in terms of accuracy, he landed many more than Bundu, who only landed at 19%.
With the official decision, let's go up to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of action, we have a unanimous decision. All three judges scored about the same, 120 to 107. All three in favor of the winner, Keith One Time Thurman.
Thurman returns from shoulder therapy to pick up his 24th win, remains unbeaten, while Leonard Bundu tastes defeat for the first time. Thurman is with Jim Gray.
All right, Mo, thank you very much. Keith, congratulations. You had 8 months off. Was that part of the rust? Was that part of the factor?
I believe it kind of was, you know, but then again, Bundu was a smart fighter. He was tricky. He switched. I never met a fighter like him. He was Olympian. He came to not get knocked out, and he was able to do that, but he wasn't able to win rounds.
Hard to fight a guy that's so awkward, that's fainting so much?
Definitely, you know, you never are sure exactly how to time him, exactly what his rhythm is, because he's always switching it up. But we were patient, and, you know, we just boxed smart. We were able to be the most accurate every single round, and that's all that I was trying to do. We caught him with a few big punches. He took them, and, you know, like I said, he was a little awkward. He was a wise veteran, and it was a great learning experience for the 26-year-old Keith One Time Thurman.
What did you learn?
that we gotta, if we want to get knockouts, we gotta move forward more. We have to work harder with pressing and pressing and pressing and throw a few more power punches in the gym instead of just counter punches. You have to take it to them, be in the pocket. Sometimes when I was in the pocket, we were clashing heads. I didn't like that, so I wasn't really trying to be in the pocket as much. We stayed on the outside and outbox them, man. This is the sport of boxing. I pick how I want to fight.
You've been a fan favorite. Now the fans are booing. How are you going to handle this reaction?
Only some of them are booing. The other ones are still cheering. So for those who love Keith One-Time Thurman, I appreciate all your love and support. I guarantee you more exciting fights in 2015. We're going to go back to the gym. This was an 8-month layoff. We are going to work hard, and we are going to work harder to continuously give you guys knockouts. But some of these fighters are tough fighters, man. You can't knock everybody out.
Let me ask you about your left shoulder. It appeared you didn't throw a whole lot of left hooks. Was there any problem?
No, I was throwing hooks, but when he was this way, and then the step back like that, see, that's an awkward step back, and it was taking away my left hook a little bit.
All right, Marcos Maidana is here in the house. A lot of talk that you would like to fight him. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir. Marcos El Chino Maidana, baby. I see you. Let's go. Let's go. Imano, Imano. Right here, baby. 2 power punches. MGM Grand. Let's get it on.
Keith, thank you. We appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Thank you. God bless.
All right. Back to you, Mo.
Let's look at the official scores here in Las Vegas as the 3 judges had Keith Thurman pitching a shutout, 120-107 across the board. Has sights on Marcos Maidana as we look at our unofficial scores from Steve Farhood, who had it 118-109 for Thurman. Let's go back to BK.
All right, Mauro. Boy, the fans are fickle, aren't they? Keith Thurman feeling it for the first time in his career and hearing it from the fans. He wins by a wide margin. I mean, he wins every single round, has a knockdown, and yet he hears the boos. The crowd obviously had just seen Abner Maris really bring it against Jose Ramirez. They're well aware of Thurman's punching power, so they wanted mayhem. They had never seen or heard of Leonard Bundu. So it's just the dynamic in place here tonight where he hears the boos, but he learns a little something tonight. He didn't move forward as much as he could have. Still gets a win, and against Marcos Maidana, yeah, that could be spectacular. All right, still to come, our main event, Amir Khan and Devin Alexander. For Khan, it's been a long